Okay, well, hello everybody. I'm going to give a pretty basic talk on the iTrace today. So I got my iTrace about 3 years ago. It's an incredibly powerful machine. I use it every day, and I'm going to kind of walk you through some pretty rudimentary cases and kind of build up and let the experts really go after the dig down and do the tough stuff. I signed up for this because I wanted to learn more about iTrace and actually got asked to give this talk, and so here I am talking. Last year I did the same thing. Very same night, Friday, Chicago. About halfway in, the first speaker's talking, and I see that I've got 3 phone calls from my nanny, 1 from my wife, all within 5 minutes. I know something's wrong. And then I get a text message, and that's my kid. Got bit by a dog. So I missed it last year. I'll show you a picture at the end of this. So what do I do with my iTrace? Pretty much just the usual stuff. I use it for the DLI, the dysfunctional lens index, for early cataracts. I like to use that to demonstrate to patients why they're not seeing well, and I also like to use it to document the cataract. I always use it for toric check and alignment, and I'm going to show you a couple other individual cases and why the iTrace is good. So the first case is very simple. It's a 37-year-old with rheumatoid arthritis, long-term oral steroids. Of course, you know, she's got a posterior subcapsular cataract. And so I run the iTrace. The DLI is 5.74. What do we use? Anything under 6?
A Chinese study said 5.7. Conservatively, we always said 5. Most doctors agree with that. Your mileage may vary.
I would call this a cataract.
Yep.
We did cataract surgery on her. Super happy. She was a -3, 2020. Very easy case. This one is a little bit more difficult. This is actually the post-operative iTrace, and I'll kind of walk you through the case. But this is a guy that had previously had LASIK surgery, so he's got a decentered ablation. This hadn't changed. This is exactly the same as it was before surgery. This is a very interesting guy. He's super rich. He loves to hunt, and he drag races cars. He wanted the very best lens, and so he actually came from a remote site. I said, you got to come to Edina. I'm going to do the iTrace. This is what I see. Told him, you can only get a monofocal lens, right? Makes it very easy. I do the cataract surgery on him, and he's still not very happy. Pretty mellow guy, nice guy. And he's seen about 20/30, uncorrected. But he's like, you know, it's just not that great. And I'm like, well, you know, here's the problem. But as we got to talking, he's telling me all about this big, huge floater that's going on in the back of his eye. And it's just big, huge, amorphous, and he starts describing it. So I told him to come back, and we did another iTrace, and here's this. So what I wound up doing on him is a YAG vitreolysis. And I know Dr. Singh's going to talk more about that, so I'll kind of lay out that. But we're going to put him in a rigid gas permeable contact lens, and I'm sure he's going to be 20/20. Okay, so this is a patient that I put a toric lens in. You know, very rarely do I see them rotate, but this one rotated. So this is a guy who right here you can see he's got about 2.2 diopters of corneal astigmatism. He's really unhappy with his vision postoperatively, so I run him through the iTrace, and it tells me to rotate this 45 degrees, and I'll get a 1.32 change in the cylinder power. So you can see his corneal power is here. This is through an undilated pupil. It's telling me where the lens toric power is. So I rotated, boom, 45, 20/20 after. This is another one. This is a patient that I did uneventful cataract surgery on, pretty normal cornea, really nice optics in that cornea. Comes back unhappy with the vision. And of course, the reason is, look at this, it's minus 2.85 plus 2.41 at 173. I'm like, what the heck's going on? So I ran the iTrace, told me to rotate the lens 81 degrees, and I'd get almost a two diopter improvement in the cylinder. So of course I rotated that lens, fixed the residual astigmatism. It was a monovision target. I used J1 uncorrected after rotation, but it was a monofocal lens. It's kind of weird. Right? You can talk about that later.
Has anybody ever seen that? Jim Hayes, you've seen it.
A lot, yeah. Maybe too much.
A monofocal creating a couple of diopters of astigmatism.
Tilt? Well,
No tilt. Looked perfect. Perfect surgery.
Conceptually, Roberto Zaldivar said these things fold together, and sometimes they don't unfold. They act a little bit like a taco, and they've got some astigmatism. So not every toric surprise is posterior cornea or tilt or something else. It could be the lens didn't open.
Well, look at right here. This says the toric power and axis is 1.37. I mean, it's crazy. But yeah, it's perfect surgery.
So you rotated and it fixed it?
Yeah, and I told the patient, I'm like, this isn't going to work. I don't think it's going to work. But I called iTrace, and they said, rotate it. Just trust it. And I said, all right, I'll talk to the patient. I said, it doesn't make sense as a monofocal lens, but we're going to try to rotate it if you'll let me do it. It's 2020. It's unbelievable. So this is how to resolve family disputes, okay? My brother's an ophthalmologist too, and my mom's 75, she's got cataracts. That's obvious, right? So this is her iTrace 2 years ago. She's got a perfect corneal surface, but she can't see out of her left eye. She's like 20/40 best corrected, and she's complaining about it. I said, well, Mom, you have a cataract. You're 73 years old. You need cataract surgery. By the way, she's got bad glaucoma too. She's a minus, 6.5, whatever. Got like 0.8 cups, and part of that's myopic, but she's got retinal nerve fiber layer loss on her OCT. So I think she'd be a perfect person for MIGS and cataract surgery. I'm telling her so, but she doesn't want to have cataract surgery. And of course, she can't have me do it because then my brother would be mad and so on and so forth, right? So anyways, about 2 weeks ago, she's out with my brother looking for cars, and she can't see. And she says, it's getting worse. And so my brother says, let's go to the office. And he brings in there and says, you can't see because you have dry eyes, but you don't have cataracts, Mom, okay? So I find out, bring her over to my office, run the iTrace. Sure enough, he's right. She does, definitely have a little bit more dry eyes than she did here. But look at her cataract is worse. So she went from 5.75 down to 4.56. So her cataract's getting worse. What I did a LipiFlow and a BlephX treatment on her. This was on October 4th, just a week ago. And she says her eye feels much better, but she still can't see. And of course she can't because she's got a cataract. So my last case, I don't have any slides for it. I'd have to have way too many slides if I were to show it. But this is me. I was operating at a remote site a few months ago, and my manager sends me this OMG, and then she sends me a copy of this review. I've got tons of Google reviews. I've got 2 bad ones, and this is one of them. So this is a guy that I did surgery on. He's one of these guys that you hate to have as a patient, okay? I'll run through what I did with him. So in November, I did femto with toric because he had more than a diopter and a half of astigmatism. That's kind of my cutoff. And then the next month, 2 weeks later, I did femto monofocal because he had like just 1 diopter of astigmatism. He comes in post-operatively, he's 20/20 in both eyes, complaining to no end. And he's just one of these people with this affect that just brings you down, right? And he's got an ocular surface problem. I tried to get him to do a LipiFlow before the surgery, but he wouldn't do it. So I do the usual things, artificial tears, Pred Forte, put him back on the steroids, lid hygiene, omegas, doxycycline, all that. It comes back later. He's just a patient that just won't go away. He's not getting better. He's 20/20, but he can't see a single thing. Complaining. So I go ahead and I do a LipiFlow and a BlephX on him for free. Treat his ocular surface. Still complaining. 3 months later, I wait and I do the YAG. Still complaining. So then in April, and the way that this happened was he comes to my office, and this is his refraction in his dominant eye. He's -1/4 +50. He's a hunter. He says he can't see anything with his right eye. So I suggested maybe we could do a PRK, but I told him, I'm like, this refractive error, I'd be happy with that refractive error. And if we do this PRK, we could actually make you worse, right? So I show him with the 4-opter. He's like, no, it's way better, way better. So I said, all right, let's go for it. So I do it, whatever. Comes back about this time, he's giving me that bad review. This guy will not go away. He still comes to see me after he gives me this bad review, and I sit down and I talk to him about the review. And finally, I give up, send him to neuro-ophthalmology. Oh, by the way, he says he's deaf in his left ear, and he can't see anything from here over, so he's running into all kinds of stuff and everything. So I asked for a tangent screen. Neuro-ophthalmologist tells him, 20/20, everything's great in his right eye. The left eye has negative dysphotopsia. Thank you. Okay. So he goes home and he researches this, and he realizes that maybe I didn't do anything wrong. Okay. Now he's currently in the left eye. He's -1/4 +75 at 30. Still 20/20, but blind. It says blind. So I finally brought him over to my Edina office. Of course, he came from a different location. He had to drive 45 minutes. But I did the iTrace on him, and I showed him the big E, and he was like, wow. He goes, that's exactly what I see. And it was like his aha moment, right? So 2 days later, and this is how many reviews he's done. He went from 12 to 15. That's what he gives me, unsolicited. So it's a really incredible teaching tool. I mean, I guess the point of that is, you know, I love to be able to show patients what's going on and really explain it to them. So this is what I use it for, to objectively quantify early cataracts and document them, identify when other internal factors may be affecting the vision, such as PCO or floaters, to differentiate between corneal and lens opacities. I do D-secs and PKs, so it's really important for me. It's really great for patients that have Fuchs and cataract too, because it'll tell you, you know, really where the limiting, sight limiting, you know, factor is. It helps me plan toric IOLs and press referring doctors. I try to get every referring doctor to come to my office so they can see all the technology, and this is the one that really knocks their socks off. I use it to rotate monofocals, solve family arguments, and build good reviews through communication. So who's the iTrace for? I think, you know, seasoned refractive surgeons, of course, referral centers, because it's a problem-solving tool, corneal specialists for sure. Anybody that does cataract refractive surgery, I think, is a really important tool. But really most important, I think it's for, that's the next one, I think it's for everyone. I think that this tool will really take the average ophthalmologist and make them that much better. So I think that this tool would be beneficial for anybody who does any type of refractive surgery. And this is my kid. This is 2 months ago, so 10 months after, he looks that good. And if anybody wants to contact me afterwards, that's my phone number, cell phone, and my email. If you have questions that you don't want to ask here but you want to ask offline, I'm happy to answer them.